Major criminal cases are often cracked not by dramatic confessions or high-tech forensics, but by something far simpler: a whisper in the dark. A single, anonymous tip can redirect a stalled investigation and bring justice when all other leads have gone cold. Ordinary citizens choosing to remain nameless become silent partners with law enforcement, their courage changing everything. Their anonymity protects them, but their information empowers investigators searching for answers in a sea of uncertainty. This is the story of one such moment: a cold case, a shattered family, and the incredible impact of a single anonymous tip. Sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that doesn't give a name, but simply offers the truth. Maple Creek, Ohio was a town built on trust, a place where neighbors greeted each other by name and children played freely in the streets. Life moved at a gentle pace, and the community felt safe, almost untouched by the troubles of the outside world. But everything changed on October 14, 2023. That afternoon, Sarah Jenkins, a beloved 28-year-old teacher known for her warmth and dedication, left the school where she inspired so many young minds. She was last seen walking to her car, her arms full of lesson plans and books, ready to head home after another long day. The next morning, her car was discovered abandoned on a quiet stretch of road just outside town. Inside, her purse and phone sat untouched on the passenger seat, as if she had only stepped away for a moment. But Sarah was nowhere to be found. Law enforcement quickly launched a massive search operation. Dozens of volunteers, friends and strangers alike joined officers to comb through fields, forests and every back road hoping for any sign of Sarah. The entire town mobilized, united by hope and fear. Missing person posters with Sarah's smiling face appeared on every lamppost and bulletin board. People handed out flyers door to door and social media lit up with pleas for information. But as days turned to weeks, the initial surge of hope began to fade, replaced by a heavy sense of dread. The disappearance sent shockwaves through Maple Creek. Residents who once left their doors unlocked now double-checked the locks at night. Conversations in coffee shops turned to whispers of suspicion, and a quiet fear settled over the town. For Sarah's family, the ordeal was a living nightmare. Her parents appeared at press conferences, their voices trembling as they pleaded for any information. They spoke of Sarah's kindness, her dreams, and the bright future that had been so suddenly stolen away. Police interviewed everyone in Sarah's life: friends, colleagues, neighbors, even distant acquaintances. Every possible lead was chased down, but each one ended in disappointment. The investigation seemed to stall, leaving more questions than answers. There was no sign of a struggle, no ransom demand, and no clear motive. It was as if Sarah Jenkins had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only confusion and heartbreak. The case became a wound in the heart of Maple Creek, a constant reminder of how quickly life can change. Candlelight vigils were held in the town square, where friends and strangers gathered to share memories and prayers. In the end, all that remained were unanswered questions, a community forever changed, and a profound sense of loss that lingered long after the search had ended. Winter deepened Maple Creek's despair as Sarah's case grew cold. Detectives exhausted every lead: phone records, finances, interviews, finding nothing. The case file thickened, but the mystery remained impenetrable. Detective Frank Miller, haunted by the case, retraced Sarah's route, desperate for answers. The lack of evidence was maddening. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses. The community struggled to move on, the shadow of Sarah's disappearance lingering everywhere. Rumors swirled, but none brought comfort. For the Jenkins family, each day was a battle against despair. Hope faded with each passing holiday. Sarah's room remained untouched, a sanctuary of hope. The police had no new updates. The case was frozen in time. The not knowing was torture for everyone. It seemed the truth of what happened to Sarah Jenkins might be lost forever. But sometimes all it takes is a single spark. Late one February night, as a biting wind swept through the empty streets and most of the city slept, a single phone call would set off a chain of events no one could have predicted. Detective Miller, weary from months of dead ends, was jolted awake by the shrill ring of his phone. He had grown used to restless nights, but this call felt different from the start. On the other end, a voice, distorted, trembling, and clearly anxious, spoke in hurried whispers. "I have information about the missing teacher. Check Mark Renshaw. He works at the old auto body shop," the caller continued, barely above a whisper, as if afraid someone might overhear even through the phone line. "He started pouring a new concrete floor in his garage, late at night. Just check his garage." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication, as if the caller was desperate for Miller to understand the urgency. The call was brief, just enough to plant a seed of suspicion, but not enough to answer the flood of questions racing through Miller's mind. Before he could ask for more, the line went dead. The number was untraceable, a burner phone, already disconnected by the time Miller tried to call back. Whoever the caller was, they had planned this carefully, leaving no trail. It could have been a prank, a cruel joke in a case that had already seen too many false leads, but in a case that had gone cold, even the faintest glimmer of hope was enough to reignite Miller's determination. Now, for the first time in months, Miller had something tangible, a name, a location, and a peculiar detail about a concrete floor poured under the cover of darkness. The tip was all he needed to breathe new life into the investigation. He gathered his files, his mind racing with possibilities and questions. Sometimes, it's the smallest, most overlooked detail that can break a case wide open. Miller knew this better than anyone. The anonymous call was the first real lead in months, a fragile thread, but one that could unravel the entire mystery if followed carefully. It was a chance Miller couldn't ignore. He felt a surge of hope mixed with the weight of responsibility as he prepared to chase down this new lead. He set out into the night, determined to follow the thread wherever it might lead, knowing that sometimes the answers hide in the most unexpected places. In the world of cold cases, hope often arrives quietly, almost unnoticed, like a whisper in the darkness. This time it came in the form of a late-night call, a whisper that might finally lead to the truth. And for Miller, that was more than enough to keep going. Mark Renshaw, a quiet mechanic with a minor record, had been briefly questioned early on, but nothing had stood out, until now. The anonymous tip put him at the top of the list. Miller's team dug into Renshaw's background and learned he'd abruptly quit his job 2 weeks earlier. Surveillance began on his remote property, focusing on the detached garage. The detail about the new concrete floor was unusual. Why pour concrete in winter? Miller needed more for a warrant, so detectives canvassed Renshaw's neighbors. One elderly neighbor recalled hearing a concrete mixer late at night, October 15th, the night after Sarah vanished. The tip was corroborated. Miller now had probable cause. The investigation, once frozen, was suddenly moving fast. The truth was finally within reach. At dawn, Miller and a forensic team executed a search warrant at Renshaw's property. The garage revealed a freshly poured concrete slab, lighter than the rest. Ground-penetrating radar detected a large object beneath the new floor. The team broke through the concrete, uncovering a tarp. Beneath it was Sarah Jenkins. The search was over. Hope was extinguished in that cold garage. Miller made the dreaded call to Sarah's parents. Renshaw was arrested without resistance, his secret finally exposed. The evidence was overwhelming. The anonymous tip had led them directly to the truth. The deception, hidden under concrete, was finally shattered. Interrogated, Renshaw at first denied everything, but the evidence was irrefutable. Faced with the truth, he broke down and confessed. Sarah's car had a flat tire. Renshaw stopped to help. He misread her kindness, and when she declined his offer to follow her home, he snapped. In a fit of rage, he attacked her, then hid her body in his garage. The next day, he poured concrete to cover his crime. The anonymous tipster was never identified, but their impact was immeasurable. Renshaw pleaded guilty, sparing the Jenkins family a trial. He was sentenced to life without parole. Justice was served, but the pain lingered. The truth was out, but the scars remained. The news of Sarah's fate sent shock and grief through Maple Creek. In a town where everyone knows each other, the loss felt deeply personal, as if every family had lost a loved one. The silence that followed the announcement was heavy, broken only by the quiet sobs of neighbors and friends. The uncertainty was over, replaced by mourning and a strange sense of relief. For weeks, hope and fear had lived side by side in every household. Now, the truth, painful as it was, allowed the community to begin the difficult process of healing. The community gathered for a memorial, honoring Sarah's life and grieving together. People shared stories, laughter mixing with tears, as they remembered the bright spirit that had touched so many lives. The vigil became a space for collective sorrow but also for hope. For the Jenkins family, knowing the truth brought a measure of closure. The ache of loss remained, but the endless questions had finally been answered. Surrounded by friends and family, they found comfort in the outpouring of love from the community. They publicly thanked law enforcement and the anonymous tipster. "You gave us back our daughter. You gave us the truth." Their gratitude was heartfelt, echoing through the crowd and reminding everyone of the importance of compassion and courage. The tragedy changed Maple Creek. Doors locked, caution grew, but so did community bonds. People became more vigilant, looking out for one another in ways they hadn't before. The sense of safety was shaken, but the spirit of togetherness grew stronger. Neighbors supported each other, united by loss and the search for answers. Meals were shared, shoulders offered to cry on, and new friendships formed in the wake of tragedy. The community's resilience became its greatest strength. A permanent memorial was created where Sarah's car was found. It became a place for reflection, a symbol of remembrance, and a reminder that even in loss, love endures. The story became a lesson in the fragility of life and the power of conscience. It taught Maple Creek that one person's bravery can change the course of many lives, and that healing, though slow, is possible when a community stands together. Even in darkness, a single act of courage can lead to healing. The light of one candle can guide an entire town through its darkest night, inspiring hope for the future. Maple Creek would always carry the scar, but also the knowledge that a stranger's bravery brought them back to the light. In the end, it was unity, compassion, and the courage to speak up that helped the town begin to heal. The case of Sarah Jenkins reminds us that investigations are solved not just by detectives but by communities. The anonymous caller was never identified, seeking no recognition, just justice. Their courage broke months of silence, delivering answers and peace. Every citizen can play a vital role in keeping their community safe. Sometimes the smallest detail is the missing piece. If you have information about an unsolved case, don't hesitate. Your voice has power. Contact your local police or use anonymous tip lines. You could be the hero a family is praying for. We're committed to sharing these stories and shining a light on the impact of ordinary people. Follow our channel for more in-depth investigations. Stay safe and look out for one another.